Hello there, lovely ones, and welcome to November. November has always felt like a transitionary time for me, and it's with that spirit that I set up my journal for this month. And as you can see, I went ahead and brought in the celestial themes to my desk, and they match the front of my journal perfectly. And the celestial vibes have always felt very wintry, very December to me, but hey, it called to me early, and it just so happens to perfectly match the tarot card that I'm using for my cover page, which is Temperance. Now, so far, I have not been going through the meanings of each of these cards in my setups, which is silly because they do have meanings, and I usually pick them because they resonate with me for that setup for whatever reason. So I'm going to share with you why Temperance feels perfect for November. Temperance signifies harmony, peace, patience, and moderation. It is this beautiful meeting space between two opposing extremes. So October, while lovely for me, was also quite chaotic, and I know that December will be similarly chaotic, what with the holidays and the end of the year. And so I am perfectly happy to take the time to allow Temperance, this restful, peaceful space of the chaos meeting the calm after the storm. I'm perfectly happy to allow that to inspire my November. Very cozy blanket, very rainy Sunday, very no fucks, and I'm doing nothing. Thank you very much. And speaking of balance and existing in the middle spaces, I decided to show more of the chronic pain element of what setting up my journal looks like in this video. A lot of the times, the actual lettering, the actual art, I have sped up for the purposes of making it easily consumable in a video format. But in reality, the lettering and the art can sometimes take me a long time, depending on what's happening with my joints and my nerves and my muscles on any given day. So those parts I still have sped up for you so that you're not sitting here for 17 days. But I did decide to slow down and reveal some of the moments when my hands don't quite work correctly, or they're hurting and aching in some way, and I need to take a moment to deal with that. Because representation's important, and that's what we're here for, Barbara. Okay, so just get on board, why don't ya? Thank you so much. Any hooligans, don't you just love this gorgeous gold paint pen I have? Let me tell you about it. So, the art on the Temperance card I thought was gorgeous, and it's got all of this fabulous metallic gold foiling, which, if you know anything about me, is basically my favorite color. Metallic gold foil that's my favorite color. Thank you. So I decided to bring some of that over onto this left side of the spread, and I got a couple of new paint pens online. First time that I've been trying them. They're the Jeff Nib paint marker pen. Can't speak to the quality aside from what you're seeing here because this is the first time I'm using them, but they seem to be working okay so far. And it's one of those that you have to press down the felt nib tip in order to get the ink flowing, and you have to redo that a couple of times while you're using it, just so that the ink doesn't kind of dry up or get too gloppy. But honestly, I think this turned out pretty well, and it's quite reflective with its metallic sheen. So I was able to bring this flowing golden water that's being poured out of one jug into another, this middle space of the in-between, over to the left side. And I think it looks kind of lovely. Simple. I didn't do a whole lot of planning. I just kind of drew some wavy lines very lightly with a pencil and then went in with the pen. So there you go. Art tips from me, everyone. Just do a wavy line, and then it looks gorgeous. You are so welcome. Anytime you start something new, I think it is actually a wonderful thing to do research on people doing something similar to what you want, taking the ideas that resonate with you and allowing it to give you somewhere to build from. It lays the groundwork and the foundation. And then, once you experiment and play around with these ideas, you can start creating your own style and what feels good and authentic and meaningful to you. So when I started these journal videos, I had watched probably a million, certainly not an exaggeration, absolutely true, probably a million videos on YouTube of different creators and their different styles of how they interact with their bullet journals and what it means for them to interact with them in the way that they do. And I watched very artistic, very maximalist creators, as well as very minimalist creators, as well as some middle of the road picking and choosing creators. And I didn't quite know what type of creator I would be when I first began. I knew that I liked the very maximalist artistic look, but that I probably just couldn't keep up with it. I think the art is beautiful, but I just can't spend the hours and the days that it sometimes takes to create multi-layer paintings, as well as my literal hands not being able to keep up with the amount of time it would take to create some of that art. And I think it's okay to say, this is the limit. This is a thing that I like in terms of looking at the work other people have done, but it does not necessarily work for me. But it can inspire me to find something similar, such as instead of drawing and then coloring in or painting these tarot card designs from scratch, I find a booklet that has them pre-made. Someone already made the art for me. How wonderful. I know that there are a number of other creators who have Patreons where you can download the art that they make and use it in your own journals at a certain tier. And I think that's a really wonderful way to make creating accessible. And so far, this is what works for me. Now here on my calendar spread, I did get a little maximalist in comparison to myself, because I took that gold paint pen and I colored the background of the left side page because the photo I wanted to use just spoke to me so strongly of, I need gold. I need to be surrounded with gold. So that's what I did. I have not done that on the right side because it took a while. And I don't know that I want to spend any more time on it, but I do think it looks kind of neat. So if you disagree, don't tell me, because it's already done. I did print out and then glue in a lovely quote here that says, "Temperance is the place where light and shadow dance and merge as the opposing forces of the universe become one." Isn't that nice? I think that's great. I also am very happy with the photographs that I chose to include in this month. I think they're so evocative and so beautiful. I don't want to let go of autumn quite so soon, so I'm allowing myself to just sit in the golds and coppers and bronzes a little bit longer. Because a reminder, winter does not actually even start until basically Christmas, okay? Late December. So we're gonna sit in the pretty metallics. And I'm fine with that. We have finally arrived at the exciting part, which is setting up my monthly pain tracker. Now, I have also finally worked smarter, not harder, and created a sticker that combines all three of these images, the two panels of the "This is Fine" meme, split apart by the miniature Mankowski chronic pain scale. And so they're just on one sticker, and I can just put it in there on the side rather than trying to cut and shape and make them work from the separate pieces that I've collected. And now it's time to set up what I'm tracking. Now, the reason I do it monthly is because before I even started tracking my pain, I was just experimenting with the bullet journal method on its own by itself. And I went through the process of dailies, weeklies, monthlies, what measurement of time works best. And I found that treating each month like its own section was easiest for me as far as future planning, looking ahead, being able to see what I've just come from and what I have to do in the next few days and weeks ahead of me, while also inside those monthlies being able to keep my dailies and allowing that to be free form. That's been very liberating and wonderful, and especially because I learned about it. This is paper, and you can cut it, and you can make your own little tabs and like faux Dutch door situation. Once I discovered that was a thing, that scissors exist, here we go. Each month is its literal own section with the interior pages cut a little bit shorter so that I can always find what I need. And being able to put this pain chart in here allows me to look at one section of time at a glance. I can easily show on one page how the current month is going to a healthcare professional if I'm at a doctor's appointment, and they can see, okay, the last 3 weeks, this is what's been happening. Let's see if with this new medication, something changes, right? And reminder to anyone who makes their own version of this, it is okay to change what you're tracking from month to month. I have a few changes that I'm making for this time. I noticed that throughout October, the amount of daily nerve lightening I was having was enough that I just had the bar filled up all the way across. So now I have removed the pelvis section by itself. I'm adding pelvis to my lower back area, and I'm tracking the level of the nerve lightening as it goes day to day. So was it low, mid, high in terms of how bad it was, since it seems to be showing up every single day? And then combining the lower back and pelvis, because they so often correlate, allows me to track both of those things in that one trend line of low, mid, high versus having my back pain is labeled here and then my pelvic pain is also labeled here, and I'm always having to put a little X in both columns. This way I can just do one. So it actually leaves me with one row at the very bottom that I don't have anything that I'm tracking, and if something shows up in the month, that gives me an opportunity to put it in that little space, and there we go. Now, I made this video on the 2nd of November, so you just saw me here filling in my data for the 1st and my sleep from last night, which was meh, middle of the road, which is honestly great. Like 3 out of 5 stars. not the worst, not the best, but definitely not full of night terrors and insomnia. So once we get past the pain tracker, this is the part where I just set up my dailies. And as an example, I'll show you how I set those up. It's super easy. It is super chronic pain friendly. I split the square page into 2 columns right down the middle using my handy grid ruler. I draw a line. I then draw another line at the top so that I can put a little date heading, and that's kind of it. If the day doesn't require more space than just this 1/2 of a page, then I just have that one column and it's perfect. But if I've got a lot more to write down or a lot that I want to keep track of in terms of tasks, I finish filling up that first column and then I allow the day to flow over into the second half of the page. And it's kind of nice to just let the days fill in as they will. Some days are longer, some days are shorter, and that's great. And here you can see I've printed out a bunch of stickers of my little pain croquis. So it's a little outline of a body, a sort of like genderless, identityless silhouette. And it's the front on the left and the back view on the right. And I used to use these a lot more often, and then I got out of the habit and I decided I wanted to try them again, where I can actually put an X over the place where I felt a particular pain. So from day to day, not only am I tracking what pain shows up, but it's where it shows up. And then the pain chart itself keeps track of how bad it was. And if I need to put any notes for a particular day, they go in the daily. This has been super helpful for doctor's appointments where I can say, okay, but the lower back pain is always bad. Look, it's always located right here. It is always centered in this particular area, and anytime it's this high, I have correlations with pain in these other places. And that's just what works for me. So yeah. I'm feeling like November is going to be a lovely time of rest and reflection as I sit in this space of temperance. And hopefully you have a lovely November as well. Take care of yourself, and may we meet in the space where light and shadow dance. Hee, that was so corny. Okay, love you. Bye.